Alright folks, it's Fat Starkly here again. No, it's not to preview some sort of horror blog or anything like that. That's for later, We're into some serious stuff here. You know, some people just need to vent. I'm one of those people. And you know, I spent a long time locked up, 6.5 years in prison, right? But I didn't spend it unconstructively. You know, I cathartized. I wrote poetry, you know. I'm not trying to get it out there and make any money on it or anything, but I definitely want some people to hear it, you know, because people have some dark shit inside their head, you know, and they just need to get it out. But if by explaining what I mean by these things and showing them to you or previewing them to you and stuff like that, maybe you can better understand that all of us think like this, you know? And the first one I have for you is one that I wrote when I was in an angry state of mind. And all of you know, if you know me, that I'm kind of a ripperologist. I read a lot about Jack the Ripper, and that's really what it is, almost a concept CD that I was writing when I was more into music about Jack the Ripper. Now it's called From Hell. And if any of you know, it's the message that he left right before he completely just disappeared off the map. Some say he died from syphilis, some say they got him, some say he was a Freemason that got locked up by the other Masons. Anyway, this is it. This is From Hell. It says, "The blood on the wall speaks to him of these silent screams, and he'll always hear these ragged sobs imposed upon his darkened dreams. Beauty in this disfigured flesh, reaped from his cold desire. She worked the sordid pleasure scene her escape was from nigher. With a flash under gaslamp light, shadowed deviant urge. She bled out in the alleyway, her immortality he purged. And she bled but couldn't scream, nightmares or madness's dreams. Terror in human guise, monster of the dark, from hell he came to purge and sever more than deviant urge. Creature of wicked flesh, die sashed by his blade. Inside nightmares soar to heights, and legends of the dark are made. Jack is here to usher in a century of note. Pity that all of history in blood has ever wrote." What I think I meant by that at the time, you know, it sounds pretty sick, and it kind of is, but what I meant by that is when... Have you ever seen that movie From Hell? You know, he says in the end, "I gave birth to the 20th century. Someday you'll look back and say that I gave birth to the 20th century." And he was really a precursor to all the horrible things that started happening. So it seems like in the macabre, you can find you can find links of what's going to links to what's going to happen in the future. And I see things like that happening now. For example, this whole Anders Behring Breivik thing, where he shot all the kids in Norway, and this Connecticut thing, it's just something that happens in society. All it means is that we're going to keep going downhill. But with things like this, that I write, I wanted to get it out there, and, I don't want people to think that I'm one of these type of guys. I'm not. This is how I cathartize. In any case, another one that I wrote was this one right here, "The End of All Things." And what it means to me is, all things come to an end, quite obviously, Now, to me, that's apocalyptic. I don't like change. A lot of people don't like change, but me more so than most. So to me, it's almost like a deadly thing, change is. So when I wrote this, it was to expel those feelings of, impending rotations, a complete 180 in how my life was, being lived at that time. As dark as it is, it's actually a message of hope. And it's called "The End of All Things." It goes, "The sun burns low in a blackened sky. Shadows enshroud these lands of lies. Never has the end of all things seemed a more acceptable and welcome thing. And these dreams, so full of beautiful screams, were so fully to become reality, of benighted desires left best undiscovered, and shallow truth graves best left covered. Soil of the mind buries the cries, the darkened layers of shattered pasts, inside holes lost to time. This is the end of all things, known relief oblivion brings. Through most must think, I speak of me, it's not my thrashings beneath these wings. Born to light, living sparks, death beats in time with all of our hearts, just as angels were said to fall. Every man shares fascination with the dark, an intruder's desire to end a spark. Watching through leaves of time's thrall. This is the end of all things. Apocalypse, personal will gleams on the edge of a knife, omitting the please. It's not you, but the ending of all things. Now, this was at a time that maybe later in my adult life, I came to realize that all people die, even people you love. And maybe if they didn't die right then, I just came to the certitude, kind of morbid dwelling on, that they were going to die. I'm going to die. That doesn't really bother me too much. But the thought of people I love dying, that's pretty fucked up. And I don't love that many people. So, I can't really stand to lose. In my mind anyway. People like that. And I don't think people healthily express that. And this may sound unhealthy, but it's not. Death is a morbid thing. I don't dwell on it. I get it out here on paper. What that means is I'm learning to accept death because there's no other way around it. You have to accept death. Life, nobody gets out alive. That's all for now. Fatty out. Y'all stay safe.